All right. You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the urban sports scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. Wole, Glenn, and Mo are your hosts. Ray Jeezy's out. It's the Washington football team postgame show. The Washington football team fell to the New Orleans Saints 33-22. As you can see, we also have the homie Adam Aniba from the Burgundy and Gold report on the show. Adam, what is good, my man?
I was good until the game
know,
started.
right?
I think I had some high hopes.
I know that.
Rebound before the defense, but man, it just been too bad.
Yeah, I know that's right. Hey, you can find this show on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia's Facebook and YouTube pages, and on Twitter at 1340 AM Fox Sports. It will also be on the Urban Sports Scene Twitter feed at Urban Sports Scene and on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. And you can comment and tweet us, during the show. All right, man, let's get into it. The Washington football team lost to the Saints 33-22. Mo, your thoughts on the game, my man?
I think we saw a lot of the same issues we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. I think there's been some breakdowns in the secondary. I think we thought it was due to injury early on. Mm-hmm. It looks like just a bunch of miscommunication. Yeah. I seen deep ball after deep ball get behind this secondary, and it's like people are just copying and pasting from the previous week. Yeah. And running the same thing when given the opportunity, when they see it, and then they're executing. I was excited to see that Chase got involved early, mm-hmm. and I thought there was more to come because Teron Armstead, perennial Pro Bowl tackle, was out. Mm-hmm. So I thought that the D line was going to take care of that offensive line that was much maligned coming in, and had some people out, but I've been praising Taylor Heineke for the last couple of weeks, and it reality struck today, right? Like, or this is one of those games for Taylor Heineke in which we know that he's going to suffer from periodically, right? Like once every, and if I'm being fair, if I look at 4 games that he's played, part of 5 games that he's played, I would say this was the worst game he played. But he still overall showed some moxie. I seen him respond after the turnovers twice today. After both his turnovers, I believe they came back and scored on the following drive, or they made some progress. So I still think that he's the one to lead. I think they took away Terry as best as they could today.
Yeah.
I think Marshawn Lattimore and that matchup was in their favor, especially after they started getting it going. For a little while, they started getting a lot of pressure. That falls right into a premier cornerback's hands. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot to unpack here, and I think we got four esteemed people that can get through it. There's a lot to unpack, but unfortunately the team lost, and it doesn't get any simpler next week. But let's get on this week. Let's talk about today, right?
Yeah. Hey, Adam, a lot on Twitter, a lot of folks were saying it was like missed opportunities. Like this game could have been. They could have put their foots on their necks early, and they didn't have they didn't do it. Why? Why? How come that happened, Adam?
First, I'll apologize for my Wi-Fi. It's just extremely bad today.
No problem, no problem.
But like you're talking about the early situations where they had red zone opportunities. To me, that was their opportunity. Once they blew those chances, I think the game was going the wrong way. Like, we can put it on the quarterback play, and again, I'm not even going to defend him, but you're marching out 4th, 5th, 6th string guys out there. I think he's a good quarterback, but he's good enough to work with the guys like that and put up 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think he needs a lot of help. He needs guys that are going to make.
Oh, did we lose Adam? All right, so I'm going to.
They tried to get in McKissick's hand, but then everyone knows the.
I think we lost Adam. So I'm gonna go to Glenn. Adam, I'm gonna go to Glenn. So Glenn, and to Adam's point, how he wasn't working with.
In the end, they couldn't continue.
Yeah, I think we have like. So, hey, Adam, we're gonna come back to you because the Wi-Fi's, the connection is a little bit off. So, Glenn, I'm going to you. So, Glenn, Adam mentioned that, they're playing with, backup wide receivers and whatnot. Did you think that hindered Heineke's play?
I think it hindered a little bit, especially when you take away Terry McLaurin and you have to go to somebody and depend on somebody else. When you take away the guy that he likes to go to and you make, I mean, they did the game plan. If you got you got Carter in and you have these other receivers in, Humphreys and all those guys in, you're going to have to make the other guys beat you. Cam Sims were out. Curtis Samuels went out. I think he caught a ball early on. One catch, I think he had for like 10 yards or something like that. So, you took his guys away from me. But, I'm a big proponent of this. If your running game, if your passing game's not working, they still had opportunities to run the ball. They was only down 7 points. Matter of fact, we're tied 13-13. Run the football. If I know I have receivers who are out, and I'm not going to put it in my hands of my quarterback, which I love him, but you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to give the run the ball. What running the ball does for the Washington football team is it takes Tyler Heineke out of the way. He doesn't have to be a kill shot, because we saw that in the fourth quarter when they really had to throw the ball. The Saints was just firing back, and he was getting hit, and he was getting up slow. If you're the Washington football team, you don't want that to happen to him. So you run the football. I think today, again, another not a 100-yard rusher. So Gibson had 60 yards. Heineke had 40. You know what I'm saying? I think they had 130, maybe 135 yards as a whole total team. But you have to be able to run the football, at least be balanced. When he drops back 41 times, I'm not a big proponent of quarterbacks dropping 41 times. He dropped back 41 times, only had 240-some yards and 2 interceptions. Now, the 2 interceptions he had were costly because there was one, he was backed up on his 2-yard line, I believe, which was a critical situation at the end of the game, which gave the Saints a bigger lead. And then the one who was in the red zone. I coach, and I don't throw the ball in the red zone. Sorry. You run the football. You do something where you run the football and Washington score. If they score there, it's a different game. If they score there and they don't give up the Hail Mary, it is a different football game.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I do. I mean, they do. The Hail Mary definitely hurt in the half. It seemed like they had some momentum. The defense was playing decent at that particular time in the game. My issue, again, Mo talked about this in terms of the coverage and secondary and how they're having issues with the secondary. And we said this during the season, beginning of the season. No one really believed that this offense was going to hold this team down. No one was thinking about this offense leading the way. It's all about this defense, all predicated on this defense. And when you continually make have these issues in the secondary, this miscommunication, because let's be fair. When Minuski was here, Joe Burry, when all these individual defensive coordinators, this same situation happened. We all grilled them. Right? We grilled them. We said, this is unexcusable. This shouldn't be happening. And we're seeing the same thing with this secondary. And many people think this secondary is even more talented. So that to me, that's a main issue right now, is that what's up with the communication on the back end? Because, Mo mentioned like the Chase having big plays, but the defense, to be real with you, the front four was getting pressure. Like they were getting pressure. It was impacted by guys running open, guys missing assignments. So when is that going to be situated? Like that needs to be situated. So Mom, will go with you with that.
I think it needs to happen sooner rather than later. You got some elite level quarterback play on the schedule coming up, and a plethora of weapons that if you're not communicating against these teams, you're going to get bludgeoned in the upcoming week. So I think they need to go back to the drawing board. I believe that this team has to be a man coverage team. I believe this team has to be a man coverage team, and periodically needs to send an extra man just to help with the time, with disrupting the timing and the cadence of the offenses. William Jackson is not looking like he's panning out, like he's paying off. I don't know what happened on the initial, the first deep ball of the game to number 11. You talking about
Collins, Landon Collins.
I think Landon Collins got caught flat-footed. Same route concept as Cordero Patterson from the Atlanta game.
Yes, true.
Same side of the field. I looked at the Hail Mary was just a Hail Mary. Yeah.
It was played bad though. It was a sloppy way of playing it though.
It was played horribly.
Yeah.
But we'll just say that prayer was answered, right?
Yeah.
That prayer was answered. We'll leave that there. And then the last one, the rub route where St. Juice they didn't shift down the line.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't shift down the line. St. Jude's had to run across two people and couldn't make up the difference. And Callaway scored. So need to go back to the drawing board. Need to get back to the basics and like just keep it basic. If you have better talent should play better than the unit that you were trying to protect last year. You know, so I say they go back to the basics. I say they let everyone do what they do best and leave it at that, and don't really get into the politics of it all. Forget who's getting paid.
Yep.
Put the best 11 on the field and rock out. I still don't think Jamin Davis is playing enough.
I agree.
I still don't think he's playing enough. I think he helps out with a little bit of the intermediate stuff. That's what his skill set said he should be best at. So I think that's a natural and a natural change that they need to just let him play. If he doesn't know the defense, or if there's things that he's lacking, let him take his lumps. Yeah. Why'd you draft him why'd you do everything you did to draft him if you're not going to let him take his lumps, right? Like, let him take his lumps. He's behind a good to great defensive line. Let him gel with them. Let there be some cohesion so that the front seven can do his part.
No, I totally agree with you, Mo. I mean, you look at the stat line. Even though he went 15 for 30, Jameis Winston threw for 279 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. I said this before, prior. Like every quarterback, when they see this defense, they're feeling good. Like they're having their fantasy football year. Like their year. This is gonna probably be their best game of the season for them. And so, to your point, Mo, it's like, all right, it can't get any worse by playing a dude like Jamin Davis or whatever. Let him learn. So, Adam, are you having an issue with not seeing Jamin Davis out there playing defense for the football team? Getting enough snaps?
Yeah, that's what I said on my own B&G Report happy hour, that that was the first thing I thought we'd see with Bostic out. He'd get more snaps, and maybe Holcomb would be dropped down. I have to look at the snap count, but Holcomb has been 100%, I believe, almost every game except for the last one, maybe even that. And first of all, let's get Reeves back there at free safety, maybe Everett with him, but get Collins off the field. He's a liability in every which shape you look at it right now, and let Curl as strong safety. I don't know if that's going to solve all the issues, because coaching is a big issue right now. Everyone wants to keep putting all on the players. You don't have a unit like this go from last year to this year and say it's only on the players, it's breakdowns. Breakdowns come back to coaching. And that Hail Mary play, I saw as we're talking here, it came up on the teleprompter that Jack Del Rio and Rivera thought they were playing for the field goal on that Hail Mary play. Well, I have to check. No timeouts left, 8 seconds. So you're talking about they got it, you guard the sidelines, they got against the middle field, get a pass, spike it, and then kick a 45, 50 field goal. But you play the Hail Mary there. So that's coaching. And I think that was a big pendulum that turned the whole game around. So I think it starts with personnel and it ends with coaching, because this defense is underachieving more than any unit I've ever seen watch football. If they were bad, I'd say that. But I think they're just too good to be playing this bad. Something's up. There's shit behind the scenes we don't know, but it's extremely disappointing. Blame the quarterback play, but they're still putting up 20, 30, 25 to 30 points a game. What else? Even in a bad day, they're still putting up some points, even though today was some garbage time. But, man, the defense has got to do more, a lot more.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the offense in terms of the putting onus on it, because we never had that much. No one really believed in the offense to be that spectacular anyway. No knock on anything, but it is what it is. But back to the defense, to your point, and something has to change. It definitely does. You can't have this every week. Mo mentioned what's going to happen next week, where the great Pat Mahomes and that team will be coming here to probably put up 40, 50 if they want to. So
can you imagine Travis Kelce across the middle next week if this continues this way?
Oh my God, there's so many mismatches, man. So it's scary. Not just that, Tyreek Hill. Like, you just have so many issues in terms of what they're going to do in coverage. And Andy Reid when we talk about Andy Reid and how he schemes people open, and with that speed, and we see miscommunications on the secondary. There's plays to be had on the secondary.
If you got Tyreek Hill in your fantasy league, play him next week, definitely. So, but Glenn, how would you grade out? We're gonna go on the offense. How would you grade out a Taylor Heineke, Glenn? I mean, to me today, Taylor Heineke, I give him a D.
Okay,
I'm gonna tell you why I give him a D today, because there was a lot of balls that he threw that should have been picked. He could have had easily 4 or 5 interceptions. Latimer dropped at least 2. I mean, their secondary at least dropped 2. I know the 2 that he threw. Today, he just couldn't find guys open. Again, a lot of that has to do when they take away Terry McLaurin. They took away his blanket, his comfort zone, the thing that he likes to do. And so they couldn't get there. Logan Thomas didn't get open as much as he should have.
Well, Logan Thomas wasn't out there. You talking about Steve? He wasn't out there. Logan Thomas wasn't out there. You talking about
no, the other tight end.
Tight end. You talking about Ricky? Yeah, Ricky Seals. Ricky Seals.
Jones.
Yeah, Jones. I mean, then you took away McKissick, so he didn't have his check down receivers. Yeah, right. He didn't have anything to check to, and what he did when he didn't have anything to check to, he ran, and that's how he ended up with 40 yards rushing today. Yeah. Again, I'm just you don't want your starting quarterback to run that much.
Yeah.
Because especially when you don't have a true backup, right?
Yeah.
I know we still got Allen, but do you want Allen to come in the game now? You know what I'm saying? So at this case, I think I gave him a D because again, he didn't find guys open. And some of his balls were late. I look at the one, was it 4th and it was 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. The one he threw into McLaurin that was late, that was behind him. And some things that was behind. So he was off a little bit today. And that secondary of the Saints didn't almost made him pay for it more than twice. So I had to give him
a D.
I had to give him a D today, man. I mean, just it is what he plays hard. Good quarterback. I think he is the quarterback for the Washington football team now.
Okay.
He just has to learn a couple things.
Yeah. So how would you, Mo? I'm going to go to you real quick. So Mo, how would you? Scary Terry. We look at him as an elite wide receiver. I do.
Yeah.
But the issues with going against Lattimore. I mean, Lattimore competed, man. I mean, he made it hard. That matchup was the key of the game. To be honest with you, I think that matchup was for Heineke. Definitely was the key of the game for that matchup.
Absolutely. You talking about the best player on offense versus arguably their best player on defense or their second best player on defense, and we know those are prime positions. We know that there's a familiarity there, that they went to school together, they played 3 years together. So, and then it's been enough tape so far this year to know that what type of routes he likes to run, the concepts that they come with, and they were on Heineke early, and often. So you can understand why inexperienced guy might have been flustered that his number one option was gone, and he didn't have a safety blanket in Logan Thomas that he's used to. He didn't have he didn't get extreme production out of the run game. Like Adam said, these are the type of games where the team has to work together, right? Like you have to help Taylor. Taylor cannot be called on to be the savior of this team. That's not his DNA, right? When Taylor plays good, the defense just does what they do. That should automatically equal a W, right? Because that's just how it's balanced out. But in order for Taylor for this team to get where they had to be, more people have to come on board with Taylor, because he's not one of the elites. Although he is playing good in his role right now, in lieu of Fitzpatrick being out. So I think they just got to give him a little more. And it can't be I don't want him throwing the ball 40 times a game, like Glenn said earlier. That's not the equation that's going to win something here. Like, get this guy going early, get the play action set up because the run game is there, and then let his wheels and all his improvising come to the forefront. And if the recipe can't be too far off of that most games. It can't be. Because if it is, it's going to get sloppy. It's going to get sloppy quick, especially when Terry's being doubled the way he was being doubled. They had somebody. No, don't get me wrong. Lattimore was over there, but they had somebody over the top also.
Yeah, they did.
They had people sitting underneath, and they threw the whole gauntlet at McLaurin today, and it was key to them winning. It was key to them winning.
So, Adam, do you think, like, in terms of the game plan, we see it all the time. I mean, the consistent thing for Taylor Heineke is that he'll force the ball to Scary Terry. And obviously that was a big, just like Washington's, you could tell that Washington's idea was to take away Kamara. Well, the best they could, to be honest, but I mean, Kamara's Kamara. They had the same game plan for Scary Terry. Like, we're gonna take this dude away. We're gonna put our best dude on him, and then at times we're gonna put a guy over top. We're not gonna make it easy because we know you stare this guy down. We know that you want to go at this guy. I was actually surprised too. Also, let me go on this topic. I feel like this is a better topic to go to. the red zone, the inefficiency in the red zone. Adam, how much did that hurt the team? You know, that in that juncture where they could have pretty much put some points on the board that could have given them a good lead.
It's killing them. It's backbreaking. And you know, with Turner, we're in trouble because Jack Del Rio's relationship, Rivera's relationship with Jack Del Rio and Turner, it goes deep. And how far will he let this go? And right now, coaching is a big problem. And I'm going to get broken record. You do something, you.
Mm-hmm. Did we lose Adam?
Yeah, I think we lost Adam.
All right. So, but yeah, Glenn, I'm gonna give it to you. And Mo, if you got to roll, let me know. Okay, it's all good. So Glenn, in terms of the red zone, how big was that issue? And also, you know, they called up Antonio Gandy Golden. It seems like they need a big body or try to throw to a big body. They didn't really take advantage of that. I saw a lot of small lineups within even in the red zone situations where they could have kind of tried to utilize a bigger body because you're missing Logan Thomas. Were you surprised that one, they didn't utilize the kid that they just called up from the practice squad, or two, you know, some like you mentioned, some of the game planning or, you know, some of the decisions they decided to make in the red zone?
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that they didn't use him, you know, as much as he could. I mean, not too much shock because he's coming off the practice squad. Didn't really have game situation. It's totally different. But, you know, so he's coming into the game situation and have to run the offense. Should know it, but when the red zone, to me, when you're in the red zone, to me, you're running your best stuff, right? In the red zone, you're trying to score. Think about it. They scored in the red zone those times they was in the red zone, they came away from without scoring. This is a different ball game, right? If they go into if they punch it in, both the turnovers, and they punch it in, Heinicke doesn't throw an interception, football team is up 20-7. Yeah. Right? So now you change the Saints, and if the Saints don't get the Hail Mary at the halftime, you change the whole dynamic of the second half. Right? They have to get 2 scores, defense playing tough. Let's think about it. The Saints only really had big plays. They didn't really put a nice, consistent drive together until towards the end of the game.
I know.
So they had big plays. So if you eliminate the big plays and you score in the red zone, this might be a dub for the Washington football team. You have to score in the red zone. And this is not the first time they had this issue. They had this issue against the Giants, not scoring in the red zone. When kick field goals. Truth be told, they had this issue week 1, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like, so this is not, there's nothing new for the Washington football team. We're 5 weeks in. You should have your red zone situation taken care of. You should know what we call in the red zone. Even if you give the ball to Gibson 4 or 5 times, or a boot action, right? You got to be able to get into the red zone and not become, you know, predictable. And that was the difference with this team last year. Last year, they knew how to score in the red zone. Yeah. And defense knew how to stop people in the red zone.
No, I agree. So let's go. I'm gonna do something Ray usually does because I typically don't do this even on losses. But let's look at some positives. What are some of the positives in this game? Some of the positives.
I like that every time that Heinicke had a turnover, he followed it up with a strong drive. The last interception that he threw, he came back the next drive, was running, made a beautiful completion to I believe it was Humphreys over the linebackers. And then I think he hit Carter another time. And then they went in to go score on that drive. So it showed me what we already know about him, that he's a gamer. There's no quit in him, and he's gonna find a way. That's what made me give him his props late last week. I just think that he just needs a little bit more seasoning, you know what I mean, a little bit more grooming. And you know, the play calling and the team can help him out with that a little bit. I think they need to devise a plan for what they think he is and follow that plan through and through. Right? If they follow that plan through and through, every week he knows what the expectation is, what's going to happen, and you make any in-game adjustments that you need to make in order for him to be successful. But try to keep the script the same so that he gains familiarity with that, so he's not trying to learn something new every week.
So yeah, my man. Yeah, go ahead, Mo.
Yeah, but I think the way he bounced back after each, you know, after some poor throws shows me that there's a lot left for us to evaluate about him.
So my man Will on Twitter said, "What has Taylor done in the league to say he deserves a chance more than Cam?"
He has the heartbeat of this team. Cam does.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he does. Scary. I mean, the players love him. So, Glenn, I'm gonna ask you the same question. What were some of the positives for you?
One, that the Washington football team early controlled the clock.
Yeah.
I think that was a big key because in the past they hadn't controlled the clock as much as they should have. But I think in this case they was able to control the clock, and controlling the clock was key there for them. So when they controlled the clock, was a success for them. What I like to also saw that was positive today, a lot of guys in the defense got involved. Montez Sweat, Montez Sweat finally called his name a lot this week. He went MIA for the last couple of weeks. He was there, and I thought Holcomb did a great job today.
I thought he did a good job too.
I thought Holcomb did a great job today at linebacker. So even though we talked about Landon Collins, he did. Even though he got burned or wasn't playing well, he did make a lot of tackles. So, but you never want your safety or your safety to be able to make all those tackles unless he's coming down in the box. But Landon Collins did a good job as well today. Defense came out aggressive and were after it. That's what I like. And they did. And one positive, and I know people may laugh, they didn't give up 400 yards this week.
I know. One positive, they didn't give they didn't give any points in the first drive. They got the interception, right?
Yeah, no points in the first drive. Yeah,
no points in the first drive.
That's your big thing.
That's my big thing. Exactly. No points. They got the interception. The player Chase Young, I think initially Chase Young in that first drive before he created a fumble. He lost containment on Kamara on the screen pass. But then after that, he followed that up with the sack fumble on Jameis Winston. That was a positive. I like you said. I thought that Holcomb played well enough. Again, that's putting a lot of pressure on Holcomb to do a lot. In that situation, pretty much having so many snaps to be effective. I thought the defense, other than giving up some suspect plays like the Hail Mary, some busted plays, I thought they were solid. But I mean, it all goes together, right? But in terms of the front seven, I thought the front seven, well, the front four definitely. I thought they brought pressure. Deron Payne, to me, had his best game of the season. He had a sack. Like you said, Montez Sweat was around, but he's been constant, right? But Deron Payne finally, to me, was consistent enough in the game, which I was a fan of. I loved it. I loved the way Deron Payne played.
Was that Payne who got the fumble recovery too?
Yeah, and he had the fumble recovery too on Chase Young's sack
yeah,
fumble.
Chase Young sack. Payne was around the ball and got the fumble recovery. So
yeah, I saw some things. It's the same old when we talk about this football team, miscommunication and whatnot. But in terms of some of the positives, I'll go with that. I have no issue with saying that. I felt like they were some good things. But yeah, this team is going now. They got to dust this off. They got a juggernaut coming into town next week in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid. So if you're a Washington fan, you feel dejected because you played against a Saints team that didn't have all its guns, didn't really have any weapons other than Kamara offensively for Jameis, right. And they were still able to get 30 some odd points on you. What is the silver lining going into this game against the Kansas City Chiefs with all the weapons? They're in one of the baddest dudes on the planet than Patrick Mahomes. That
this team can control the clock. That this team can offensively, they can control the clock. They just have to punch it in. I mean, we talked about them the offense, but we got to look at this. They had 12 drives today, right? They only punted 3 times. We only saw Tressway is the all-star of the team because he's special teams, but they only punted 3 times. Ron went for it several times on 4th down, but I think this team, silver lining is that this offense is putting up points. All right, that's the silver lining, that this offense is putting up points. In years past, we didn't have an offense. In years past, we had an offense that put up 24, 25, 26 points. We probably won a lot more games, and then we didn't. With the defense they had. So that's the silver lining, that Tyler Heineke and this offense, the lack of the running game, even with missing some of his wide receivers that he missed today, that this team still putting up 22 points or 23 points. So that's the silver lining, that there's an offensive presence for the Washington football team, and that going into the fourth quarter with Tyler Heineke, if they down by 7 or down by 10, you believe they still had a chance, right? Yeah. Because if you ask any fan, even when it was down by 11 with 5 minutes left in the game, most people think, you know what, we got a shot. We got a shot to win this.
Yeah.
And I think the team has a shot to win this. So I think that's the silver lining for this Washington football team, that they have an offensive team. They have a team that can actually kind of score
enough.
In bunches, but they can't score like Kansas City with big plays. But they can get medium-sized plays, with 20 yards here, 30 yards there, and things like that, and get them down in the scoring zone and get in the red zone much quicker.
I agree. I like that thought process. I was going to go a different route. I was going to say that on the other side of the football field, you're going against a Kansas City team that's defense is pretty, like, it's almost as bad as your defense. So you're going to have an opportunity to put up points. I'm not saying you're going to score like a 40, 50, but you should have an opportunity to be in the game because their defense isn't stout. We said this before. We said this last week, even, going into this game, that the Washington football team is going to be taking on a New Orleans Saints defense that is one of the better defenses in the NFL, right? So now you're not going to have that friction when you're playing against a team like Kansas City. So you're going to have more opportunity to have more explosive plays. Scary Terry won't really have to worry about playing against somebody like a Lattimore, right? He can have more of his way with that secondary compared to what he had to see against the Saints. So offensively speaking, for this football team, they're in a better situation because they're not going to see the defense they saw, this week, today, excuse me. Right. So defensively, that's a whole different problem. Defense is a whole different problem. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm talking about I'm giving people hope. That's a whole different problem. I'm here to give folks hope, right? I'm trying to, I'm trying to Obama this. I'm giving you hope right now, right?
Right.
But that's what you have to do. And to your point, Glenn, I think you hit it on the head, that the way they do move the football is that they get 20, 30. If they can do it methodically to keep Pat Mahomes off the football field, then they have a better chance to stay in the game and to do some damage. But they have to keep them off the football field, and they have to limit the big plays. And I know Mo had mentioned maybe playing more man. It's going to be hard to play man against, Tyreek Hill because he's so freaking fast. But you
got to play somebody over top. You got to play a little cover two, somebody safety dropping over top. Yeah. Where Tyreek Hill doesn't run down the field by himself. Yeah. And so then you got to worry about Tyreek Hill. Then you got to worry about Travis Kelce. Somebody's gonna be open, right?
Yeah.
And so there will be a mismatch, and the job is how well can we disguise it, and how long will it take Patrick Mahomes to figure it out?
Yeah, exactly. So if I was them, easier said than done. Look at what Tampa Bay, did with Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Try to copy it as best as you can.
Bring pressure. They got to bring pressure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do it as best as you can. If you pride yourself on your front four and your interior line, then try to do it that way with what Kansas City did. What Tampa Bay did, because that's the best way that they can kind of, go about beating this team. Because again, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. But I know Washington fans, we are all dejected by this loss because, again, this is a game that could have been won. Like, you could be going into this game against the Kansas City Chiefs 3-2. Because not just that, the beginning of the game was it was still up in the air, but then when you looked at the bodies that the Saints started to lose, you're like, okay, you know what? This team, Washington, has a good chance because they've lost some dynamic players, even on the lower level, the dynamic players on their team in terms of offensive weapons, and Washington they still weren't able to kind of take advantage of it. But if we trust Ron, let's just trust that we can get this thing turned around. But it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It is definitely hard.
It's hard. Turn around and just keep winning division games, baby. Yeah. Keep winning division games.
Yeah, try at least do that. And don't watch the Dallas Cowboys because it makes you more depressed. Because
it does. It does. One thing real quick. I know one thing that stuck out too.
Sure.
With this football team is that, one thing you can say about a Ron Rivera team, this team doesn't really have quit in them.
They don't. That's a good thing.
And I think that's the good thing with this team. Regardless of who's coming in, they don't have quit in them. But I say this week, and we really, and something that Washington fans may have to think about, this team easily could be 0-5.
Yes, easy 0-5. Yes, they could have lost every game this season.
This team could have lost every game this year.
Every game this season.
The late game had to come back from Atlanta to win, and you had the game on if a missed field goal from the New York Giants.
Wow, very good point.
This team could be 0-5. So I take 5 games, 2-3. Take my hat off to them. They're still in the hunt. They're still in the fight. But 0-5 would have almost put a dagger in this team.
And they're going to have to – I wish before we end this show off, I kind of wish they would buy – a buy was approaching. I know that you don't want an early buy, but they desperately need a buy for their defense, like desperately.
Yeah, they need to figure it out.
Because either you're not going, because this communication thing is like, it's definitely a big issue. And on the secondary, in the back end, and you're not willing to make these changes that, many folks have been asking for. So if you're not going to make those changes, then, a buy is needed so you can iron some of this stuff out. Like, it's desperately needed. But we'll see, man. Like the issue, the thing about, our homie of the show, George, and even Big Doug, who was on the show last week, the stubbornness of the staff not to want to change certain things up because they believe that they're wrong. They're right. They're gonna really have to look themselves in the mirror and say to themselves, "Are we doing what's best for these players?" That's what you have to look at it.
Yeah. And the players got to be accountable too. That too.
It's everything's inclusive, right? But because Glenn, you're a coach, this. If you consistently keep having these blown assignments, obviously you're not making it easy for this unit. There's something you're not making easy for. You know what I mean? Like you can't always say it's a blown assignment. Oh, we're this close, we're missing here. Obviously, if they're not getting it, simplify it. That's what you learn as a coach. If you ain't doing it, simplify it.
Yeah. Or what you do is like anything else. It is a job. You find the best person, right?
Exactly.
Somebody got to get fired. Somebody got to get hired, right?
Exactly.
If you can't do your 111.
Yeah.
You can't do your 111. Next man up, right? These are professionals here.
Facts, man. Facts.
111. That's why you keep drafting, right?
Yep.
I don't care how much you're making. Okay, we just eat this one this year, right?
Yeah.
I'll eat your 14 million. I'll eat your 13 million.
Yeah.
So we can get W's and we'll get you out of town as soon as we can.
And especially since you've been, and this is the thing, since this organization, since Coach Rivera has been here, isn't that what he's been preaching? It's like he's putting the best individuals on the football field. It doesn't matter what your contract status is. It's about what you've done, what you are doing on the football field. So that's all got to be discussed. You know what I mean? You got to take the politics out of it. You just got to play football. You got to put, it's because when you want to be fair to the man on your left and your right, that's on that football team or it's on that field. You know what I mean? So you want to be fair to them and making sure that you're doing whatever it takes to make sure that their work isn't being forgotten or isn't being credited the way it should be credited.
Yeah, what's funny is I was on Twitter. They said they had a trailer and they had a Lamborghini parked underneath the trailer, right? And they said that's Terry McLaurin on the Washington football team.
So true, man. It's true. It's like you're wasting greatness right now, man. It's what he's doing is amazing, to be honest with you, and the effort, because you see the effort. It's real effort. Yeah. But hey, we appreciate everybody for listening, for chatting, watching the show, and also some of the tweets that I've seen. Sorry if I couldn't get to all of them. And you can subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search all Burgundy and go everything with Urban Sports Scene. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Go to Everything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia for ages. You dig? Deuces. Hey, again, Washington fans, be easy. We'll be all right.